Did you know that the average American retiree collects just under $2,000 a month from Social Security? Or that in some countries, that single check qualifies you for full legal residency, no job offer, no employer sponsor, no million-dollar investment required? How about the fact that one country in Europe will put you on the path to full citizenship in 5 years, based solely on proving you have passive income to cover your own bills? Well, moving abroad is not just for digital nomads and trust fund wanderers. More Americans than ever are discovering that their retirement income, the money they already have, is enough to unlock a new life in another country. And the paperwork trail is a lot shorter than you might think. So buckle up, because we are about to break down 6 countries where Americans can get legal residency without holding a job. We rank them from a solid option to the kind of deal that honestly makes you question why you are still paying American rent prices. Let us get into it. First on the list is Ecuador, and before you picture yourself hacking through jungle with a machete, hold on. Ecuador is home to Cuenca, one of the most affordable and livable expat cities in the Western Hemisphere, with a colonial city center, a mild climate year-round, and a real medical infrastructure. The country even uses the United States dollar as its official currency, which removes the exchange rate headache entirely. English is not spoken everywhere, but the expat community in Cuenca is large enough that you will find your footing quickly. To qualify for Ecuador's Jubilado visa, you need to demonstrate at least $1,446 a month in pension or retirement income. That figure is set at 3 times Ecuador's monthly minimum wage, which the government adjusts each year. For 2026, the threshold sits right there at $1,446. Here is the math moment. The average American Social Security check right now runs about $2,000 a month. That clears Ecuador's bar with over $500 to spare. Even a retiree collecting closer to the lower end of the Social Security range, say around $1,500, would still qualify on their own. The Jubilado visa accepts Social Security, military pensions, government pensions, disability income, and structured 401k distributions. It does not accept rental income or dividends alone, which is worth noting if your retirement income is investment-based rather than a formal pension stream. The visa is valid for 2 years, renewable once. After 21 months of physical presence, with no more than 90 cumulative days outside the country, you can convert to permanent residency. The catch? That physical presence requirement is strict. Ecuador is not a place where you stamp in once a year and keep the visa alive. You genuinely need to be there. Rent in Cuenca runs between $400 and $700 for a decent apartment. Healthcare is inexpensive by United States standards, with specialist visits often costing between $20 and $50 out of pocket. For retirees on a fixed income who want a real life in a real place, Ecuador works well. It lands at 6 on this list, mostly because the income bar has crept up in recent years, and the residency process has more steps than some of the alternatives below. Moving up the list, Colombia lands at 5, and it deserves a serious look. Colombia's pensioner visa has been quietly attracting thousands of American retirees, particularly to cities like Medellin, Cartagena, and Bogota. The country has modernized dramatically over the past 2 decades. The food scene is genuinely world-class, and the cost of living remains a fraction of the United States average. The income requirement is set at 3 times Colombia's monthly minimum wage. As of 2026, that works out to roughly $1,400 a month. Like Ecuador, that number moves because it is pegged to the local minimum wage rather than a fixed dollar figure. United States Social Security qualifies. A government or military pension qualifies. Private pension income qualifies. The process requires a valid passport, a recent apostilled background check from the FBI, a medical certificate, and documentation proving your pension income. Colombia strongly prefers the official FBI Identity History Summary for American applicants, so budget several weeks for that clearance process before you apply. The visa itself is issued as a migrant visa and runs 1 to 3 years at a time. Here is where Colombia gets interesting for the long haul. After holding that migrant visa for 5 years, you become eligible to apply for permanent resident status. After another 5 years as a permanent resident, you can apply for Colombian citizenship. That is a 10-year path to a second passport. It is not the fastest option on this list, but Colombia is one of the most dynamic economies in Latin America, and a Colombian passport opens significant travel doors. The lifestyle math is compelling. A comfortable one-bedroom apartment in Medellin runs around $500 to $800 a month. Groceries, transportation, and dining out are all substantially cheaper than any major American city. The main friction points are bureaucratic. Colombia's immigration system has a reputation for paperwork intensity, and processing times can stretch. Budget extra time and ideally hire a local immigration attorney to guide you through. But the country earns its place on this list. Now, at 4, we have a country that most Americans never consider: Paraguay. And that is precisely why it is here. Paraguay is landlocked, quiet, and genuinely off the radar, which also means it has not been priced up by waves of expat demand. Asunción, the capital, is small by regional standards, but it has modern infrastructure, a real expat community, and some of the lowest costs in all of South America. Paraguay used to be famous for a $5,000 bank deposit that would get you permanent residency on the spot. That route closed in 2022 when Paraguay rewrote its immigration law entirely. What replaced it is still quite accessible. Paraguay now offers temporary residency with no minimum investment requirement at all, just proof of financial means. Most attorneys recommend demonstrating around $1,300 a month in income or savings, though the official guidelines allow some flexibility. Processing moves fast. Many applicants get approved in 60 to 100 days. Government and legal fees together typically run somewhere between $700 and $1,500 when you include document translations and notarization costs. And here is the detail that makes Paraguay genuinely attractive for the long game. After 3 years of temporary residency, you can apply for permanent residency. After 2 more years as a permanent resident, you are eligible for Paraguayan citizenship and a Paraguayan passport. That is a 5-year total pathway, one of the faster citizenship timelines available to Americans anywhere in the world. Paraguay has 0 tax on foreign-sourced income. Your Social Security check, your pension, your United States investment income, none of it is taxed locally. The cost of living is strikingly low. A solid apartment in Asuncion rents for $300 to $500 a month. Utilities are cheap. Healthcare is affordable. The country is politically stable and runs a straightforward legal system. The honest downsides are real. Paraguay is not exciting in the way Lisbon or Medellin is. The nightlife, the cultural calendar, the international airport connections, all more limited. If you want energy and stimulation, look elsewhere on this list. But if you want legal residency in a tax-friendly country at low cost with a realistic path to a second passport, Paraguay at number 4 is a seriously underappreciated option. Now we are getting near the top. At 3 is Costa Rica, a country that has been welcoming American retirees for decades and has built an entire infrastructure around doing so. The expat community is enormous, particularly in areas like the Central Valley, the Guanacaste Coast, and the Manuel Antonio region. The country is politically stable, has no standing army, and consistently ranks among the highest quality of life nations in Latin America. Costa Rica runs 2 relevant visa tracks for people without a job. The pensionado visa requires a lifetime pension income of at least $1,000 a month. That is it. Social Security qualifies. A government pension qualifies. A private company pension qualifies. The income must be guaranteed for life, meaning structured retirement distributions, not a savings account you are personally drawing down. But for most American retirees, that $1,000 threshold is genuinely accessible. Even a retiree collecting $950 a month from Social Security is within reach if they have even a small supplemental pension or annuity. The rentista track is the second option, designed for people whose income is not a formal pension, rental income, dividends, that kind of thing. That track requires $2,500 a month, which is a significantly higher bar and makes it less relevant for the average retiree on a fixed income. The pensionado visa gives you temporary residency initially. You need to spend at least 4 months per year in Costa Rica during the temporary residency period, so it is not a mailbox arrangement. After 3 years, you can apply for permanent residency, and once you have permanent status, the physical presence requirement drops sharply. Costa Rica taxes only locally sourced income, so your American pension and Social Security remain untouched by the local tax authority. The drawbacks are worth naming plainly. Costa Rica is not cheap by Latin American standards. Rent in a desirable area near the beach or in a good part of San Jose can run $1,200 to $2,000 a month for a decent place. Groceries and dining out cost more than Ecuador or Paraguay. The country has a documented problem with petty crime in certain urban areas. Healthcare is excellent. The public system is available to legal residents, but navigating it takes patience. For Americans who want a familiar expat ecosystem, English widely spoken, and natural beauty everywhere they look, Costa Rica at 3 is a very strong choice. Number 2, Panama. If you have done any research on retirement abroad, you have probably already come across the Panama Pensionado visa. There is a reason it comes up constantly, and that reason is how much value it packs into one accessible program. The income requirement is $1,000 a month from a lifetime pension, same threshold as Costa Rica, but what sets Panama apart is what you get the moment that visa is approved. Panama's Pensionado program grants you permanent residency immediately, not temporary residency for a few years first, but permanent resident status from day one. That is a meaningful distinction that very few countries offer at this price point. And then there are the discounts. Panama's Pensionado program is enshrined in national law, which means retailers, healthcare providers, and service industries are legally required to honor them. You get 25% off at most restaurants, 20% off doctor visits, 15% off hospital bills, 50% off movie tickets and entertainment, 25% off airline tickets, and 30% off hotels Monday through Thursday. A one-time import duty exemption lets you bring in up to $10,000 worth of household goods tax-free when you first arrive in the country. Here is the real-world numbers comparison. A couple living in a mid-sized Panamanian city like David or Boquete can live comfortably on $1,500 to $2,200 a month. That same lifestyle in a comparable mid-sized American city would run 3 to 4 times that amount. Panama also uses the United States dollar as its currency. No conversion, no exchange rate anxiety, no surprises when you check your bank balance. The main friction with Panama is processing time. Budget 6 to 10 months for full residency approval. The paperwork is manageable, but real. Apostille documents, police clearance, proof of income, certified by the relevant agency. Most expats hire a local attorney to manage the process, and legal costs run around $1,500 to $3,000. The climate in Panama City is hot and humid year-round, and some Americans find the urban pace a stretch. But for sheer value delivered through a single visa program, Panama, at number 2, is hard to argue with. Which brings us to the final country, and this one sits at the top of the list for a reason that goes beyond just the income threshold or the discounts. Portugal. Portugal's D7 visa, officially the passive income visa, requires a monthly income of 920 euros, which at recent exchange rates works out to just over $1,000. The income does not have to be a formal pension. Rental income qualifies. Dividends qualify. Interest from investments qualifies. Social Security qualifies. The D7 is genuinely flexible in what it accepts as passive income, which makes it accessible to a broader range of Americans than strictly pension-based programs. Portugal also requires that you hold 12 months of that income in savings, roughly 11,000 euros in a bank account, as a financial stability buffer. That is a real requirement, not just an income statement on paper. But for most Americans who have been building toward retirement over a working lifetime, that bar is reachable. Here is what makes Portugal the number 1 pick on this entire list. You are not just getting residency in a pleasant country, you are getting entry into the European Union. A Portuguese resident card lets you travel freely throughout the Schengen area, 27 countries across Europe, without visas or border checks. You can spend a winter in Lisbon, a summer in the Algarve, and long weekends in Spain, France, or Italy without ever touching immigration paperwork again. And the citizenship path. After 5 years of legal residency in Portugal, you become eligible to apply for Portuguese citizenship and a Portuguese passport, one of the most powerful travel documents in the world for visa-free access. 5 years of living your life in Europe is the price of admission. For a retiree who genuinely moves there and stays, That timeline is realistic. The minimum stay requirement is specific. You must spend at least 16 months in Portugal during the first 2 years of your residency. After that, the commitment is 28 months out of every 3 years. Portugal is not a passive arrangement you can maintain from an American zip code. You need to actually live there. The cost of living varies by region. Lisbon and Porto have gotten significantly more expensive over the past decade. A decent one-bedroom in Lisbon now runs 1,200 to 1,700 euros a month. But move an hour outside the major cities and those numbers drop sharply. The Alentejo region, the Silver Coast, and smaller towns across the Algarve offer genuinely affordable living, excellent public health care, and the same resident card and Schengen travel rights as living in the capital. The quality of life is high, the weather is mild, and the culture is genuinely welcoming to Americans. Portugal is a real commitment to a real country. But for an American who wants European residency, a credible path to one of the world's most powerful passports, and an income threshold that aligns with what many retirees already collect, it is the strongest overall package on this list by a meaningful margin. Every country covered here has a working program that Americans have successfully used. The thresholds, the timelines, and the catches are all real, and they change. Immigration rules get updated, income thresholds get adjusted, and processing timelines shift with government priorities. Before you make any move, get your specific situation reviewed by a qualified immigration attorney in the country you are targeting. What qualified someone last year may not qualify them today. This is a starting point, not a legal roadmap. Do your homework, verify the current rules, and then make your move.